Let's do it. I'm feeling really good. I'm not going to lie. I just did a root clear on public speaking. So I'm feeling extra now. Hello and welcome back to the Finding You podcast. I am your host, Franeiss, and I am feeling really good today. I have come off the back of a very reflective and inwards week. It has been a lot of energies flying through the universe at the moment. So to finally feel like I'm liberated, maybe it's because it's like day one of Aquarius season. That might be it. And if you don't know, I am an Aquarius sun. So maybe I'm just feeling really comfortable and in my element finally. The full moon in Cancer was not it, my dear. It was a lot. Today, I've just been doing clearing work, which has been amazing and really reactivating of all my skills and the things I know. And today on the podcast, I actually really wanted to talk about it because in my line of work, when I speak of clearing, and in particular, like clearing emotions, I feel like people get either confused, freaked out, or like pretty excited because they think that they're going to turn into an emotionless robot, when none of that is the case. In my line of work, I am a trained spiral practitioner. We work on clearing emotions and emotional stories, patterns, behaviors. And when it comes to clearing, it's not that we're clearing an actual emotion. It's not like if we cleared joy or anger or excitement, we would never feel them again. That's not the case. What we're doing is we're clearing the relationship to that emotion. For example, let's talk about anger, because I feel like that's a very common one that comes up. Our relationship to anger. A lot of people see anger or the feeling of anger as bad. Now, the feeling of anger itself is not bad. It's our reaction to that feeling of anger. The idea of clearing is essentially neutralizing that relationship we have to anger. So instead of, say, if you're at one end of the spectrum and you feel angry, you instantly have an outburst and you might break something. Or if you're at the other end of the spectrum where you think being angry is so bad that you suppress it and hold it down in your system, neither of those are actually good and can cause a lot of problems, whether you're physically breaking stuff or you're internally breaking down your own system. When it comes to clearing, what we're doing is we're removing our relationship to either ends of the spectrum, coming to a place of neutrality and being okay with either. And being okay with feeling angry, so that when we feel angry, we can feel it, we can identify it, witness it, and then take action how we choose to, instead of having this triggered response, which comes from our sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. So the idea is clearing that so that we can become neutral, we can become aligned, and we can decide on how we react instead of just reacting. So my thought process of that all came up today when I was doing a clearing with a group of ladies. The idea is that being neutral, being centered, being able to witness these situations, these feelings, and without instantly having a triggered response, a sympathetic nervous system response, which is where we store all of our emotional stories. We store it all in our sympathetic nervous system and in our subconscious mind. We store these stories and these ideas of how we should react or how we have to react. We store them all in these systems. And what we're trying to do is neutralize it so we can come to a place of centeredness so we don't have an outward reaction or triggered body response. So the idea is that once we've cleared either ends of the spectrum, we will have more space to move. We'll be able to slide in between either ends of these spectrums without feeling like uncomfortable, without feeling that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response or any disconnect. We'll be able to be okay with it. And once again, like I said, just because we clear either ends of the spectrum doesn't mean we're going to hit either ends of the spectrum, which is why I've actually been talking about duality on my TikTok account, because I think it's super important to understand and accept duality. We live in a world where there is an opposing force to everything. There is good, there is bad, there is light, there is dark, there's masculine, there's feminine. There is an opposite end to everything. And the point of understanding and accepting both ends is the meaning that we can understand and accept both ends of not only ourself and everything that we embody and we are created of, and all the opposing forces and opposite ends of the spectrum we actually have within us, we can actually understand and accept it within the world as well. It's like getting in a disagreement with someone. And when someone's so stubborn on the fact that their perspective is right and no one else's perspective could be right, that is them not understanding duality. That is them not understanding the world and how polarizing it is, and not only not accepting that, but also not accepting that within themselves. In my opinion, we all have the capability of doing good, doing bad. We are all capable of it. And not being able to accept that and understand that within ourselves causes a lot of problems and can cause blocks. So the idea is that once we accept this duality and we clear from either ends of the spectrum and we make space to be okay with doing more, being more, doing less, messing up, being okay with saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, being okay with doing the right thing and doing really well. Once we are okay with all of it and all the possibilities, we come to a place of being okay with just being. We come to a place of just being okay with being ourselves and not fearing judgment or criticism or anyone else's projections and ideas and thoughts on how the world should be. We can understand and see people for their own perspective and their own truths. I can turn around and say to the person who is unbudging on their point of view, hey, I get it. I see it. I understand you. Doesn't mean I have to agree with you, but I still see you and I still understand and I still accept you wholly and completely without changing anything. And that there, holy fuck, I think I just solved the mystery of the whole universe because that right there is unconditional love. But we can only have unconditional love for everyone else once we have it for ourselves. So let's start there. So being okay with everything that we are, everything that we're not, everything that we want to be, allows us to be okay as this person, but also okay as someone who succeeds, as someone who fails. Once we've cleared the emotional attachment, the emotional triggers, the emotional responses we have to all of potential outcomes, all of who we are, all of who we could be, and all of who we were, we come to a place of real acceptance and real love. Like, I genuinely feel so much love for the past me. She went through so much. She did so much. I honestly sometimes feel like I have lived 20 lives within this one life. And I love it. I think that's what I was meant to come here to do, is to experience everything. Experience the polarizing, experience the good, experience the bad, and understand it all and come to a place of acceptance, self-acceptance, unconditional love for myself, and then unconditional love for the world. And that's not what everyone's come here to do. And it might also just be my Libra moon. Libra is all about the scales, the balance. So it might just be that. But you can also at least be understanding and unconditionally loving of yourself. I don't even think you need to understand yourself. I think you just need to learn to unconditionally love yourself. And this is why I absolutely love the concept of duality and clearing duality and clearing everything that comes within that duality. You could easily clear I'm okay with succeeding. I'm okay with failing. I'm okay with knowing the outcome. I'm okay with the unknown. I'm okay with being in a relationship. I'm okay with staying single forever. I'm okay with being strong. I'm okay with being weak. I'm okay with being vulnerable. I'm okay with being closed off. There'd be a lot of people right now like, oh, I have a lot of work to do. And it's not like once you do all this clearing, you're just going to become this robot. You're not going to have any emotions. You're not going to feel. You actually feel so much more. Since doing all my healing work and clearing, I feel so much more. Like I said, this is a journey. I don't think I said it on here. I think I said it on the vlog, but I'm here for an upwards spiral. I'm not spiraling downwards anymore. That's not happening. I'm spiraling upwards. I'm ascending. I'm going up. So the more I clear, the more I can come up through to those higher vibrational emotions. Coming back to the scale of consciousness, in case you have missed it, Google it. It is a really cool tool, but it's a tool that I use, and we're scaling up through the scale of consciousness. We're trying to hit those higher vibrational emotions and feelings, but we can't do that if we're holding on to the shame and the guilt because we think that anger and whatever else in our life is bad. Because it's not. Anger shows us where our boundaries have been crossed, where we have let someone walk over us, where we have allowed ourselves taking full responsibility of our own life and well-being and who we are and what happens. We have allowed our own boundaries to be crossed. But anger can be a guide. Anger isn't a bad thing. Anger is our guide to show us where next time we need to say no, where next time we need to speak up. It is not something that is destructive. Anger, like every emotion, is energy in motion. It is those chemicals hitting and bouncing off each other to create that feeling within us. And each emotion will only last 90 seconds if we don't hold on to it. It'll move through us and that'll be it within 90 seconds. But if we're holding on to it, we're thinking about it, we're feeling guilty, we're feeling shame, we're feeling all these things, we're feeling like we need to suppress it. All of this stuff, if we're feeling these emotions towards anger, it's not going to move. It's going to start creating this energetic layers, which then condense down to become these physical ailments. Everything comes from energy. Everything is energy. And so once we learn how to allow that energy to move through us and accept it, see it, and unconditionally love it, it'll move through a lot easier. And it won't cause these bigger problems down the line. So to sum it all up, anger is our guide to showing us where our boundaries have been crossed. Duality and understanding and accepting duality is how we learn to love and accept ourselves unconditionally for everything that we are. And how can we do that? And how do we come to that space? By clearing the emotional charges that we have connected to outcomes, situations, people, and emotions. So that is all for today. I will stop there. I feel like that's a lot of information to give and digest. But if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or Google, please make sure you rate and leave a review of the podcast so I know what's going on and how I'm doing. And if you are watching on YouTube, hi, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to know your thoughts on these concepts and ideas. These sort of things really do help with growing the community and connecting with like-minded souls who live all around this beautiful big planet. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.